Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be doing a Lorac showdown. I'll be comparing the formulas of the Lorac Pro Palette Volume 1, which I'll refer to as 1 in this video, and the Lorac Mega Pro Volume 4, which I'll refer to as 4 in this video. I have never used the Lorac formula before, which is why I figured I'd be the perfect person to compare these two palettes. I have no preconceived notions about the formula. I've heard it's buildable, that it's blendable, it's soft, but it does have a lot of kick up. I've swatched the Lorac palettes at Ulta, but that's literally the extent of my knowledge. These palettes are very polarizing. The one is a cult favorite. I'd say it's probably up there with like the Urban Decay Naked Volume 1 palette. It's a fan favorite, this one is. It has a formula that people still rave about. I still see it talked about on Reddit all the time. The 4, however, has gotten a lot of negative feedback. There are some beauty gurus who love it and they rave about it, and there's others who say that the formula differs from the Lorac's original formula. So I personally am very curious to see if that's true, or if maybe consumers just don't like the color scheme since it runs cooler and warm palettes are kind of all the rage right now. What I'm going to do is try out the similar shades in each palette, and I'll put them on a different eye. And I'm going to compare the feel of the formula, how it applies, how it blends, like how it wears, how it lasts during the day. And I think by the end of the day, I should be able to tell you if these formulas are truly different, or if maybe the complaints about the 4 revolve more around the color scheme. If I end up thinking the formula is identical and you love these four colors, then I might be giving you a great excuse to snap this palette up. So tell your wallet I'm sorry. But it's been on sale at Ulta, so your poor piggy bank shouldn't tremble in fear, because if you get this for like $35, which is what it's been at Ulta lately, I think that's a great deal for a palette that has so many colors to choose from. And just FYI, I love the setup of these palettes. The mattes are the top shades and the shimmers are the bottom shades. And for a woman who has hooded eyes, I use a whole lot of matte shades. And so these palettes are kind of heaven for me because they have such a big selection of matte shades. So without further ado, let's try on some eyeshadow. So here is my Lorac palette, and my right eye is going to be the Lorac 1 palette, and then my left eye is going to be the Lorac Pro 4 palette. And I am going to start with the Lorac Pro palette, and I'm going to set my primer, and the primer that I used was the Lorac Behind the Scenes Eye Primer. So I have put that all over my eyelid, and I am going to, on the Lorac 1, I am going to set it with the color Cream, which is a warm beige. In between each eyeshadow, I will clean off my brush with my brush cleaner. For setting my primer, I am just using a fat Coastal Scents brush, just an inexpensive brush. For the Lorac 4, I'm going to use the Cool Taupe, which is also a warm beige, and I'm going to use that to set my primer. Transition shade on my Lorac 1 is going to be Taupe, which is a warm brown color. Transition shade on 4 is going to be Mocha, which is also a warm brown. For my crease shade on the 1, I'm going to use Sable, which is a warm brown. For the 4 palette, I'm going to use for my crease shade the Mahogany color, and that's a warm red brown. And just FYI, for my crease, I was using the Real Techniques. It's the Deluxe Crease Brush. For my lids, I'll be using a black packing brush. For the Pro 1 palette, I will be using Nude all over my lid. Just FYI, Nude is a warm beige. For the 4 palette, I will be using Foam all over my lid. Both the Nude and the Foam are shimmer shadows, and they're both warm beiges. For the center of my lid, for the Lorac 1 palette, I'm going to use Gold. and I'll use the same flat packing brush. For the 4 palette, I'm going to use Honey, which really that gold color and this honey color are both like a kind of a warm copper color, and this is going to go on the center of my lid on my left eye. On my V, I'm going to use Deep Purple for my Lorac one eye, and I'm just using a pointed detail brush to do that. For the 4 palette, I'm going to use Vamp, and both Vamp and Deep Purple are basically deep black purples. To highlight under my brow bone, I'm going to use White for Lorac 1, and that's a cool white tone. On the 4 palette, I'm going to use Cotton, which is a cool white, to highlight under my brow bone. Okay, this is the final look. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. I am noticing some differences between the formulas. So what I'm gonna do is I've gotta go run a bunch of errands, do a bunch of stuff. So I'm gonna go do all that. I'll be back in about 7 hours. I'm probably gonna write out a nice little list of all the differences that I'm seeing. I'll let you know how each of the eyes wears if they wear differently, and then I'll be back, and like I said, in about 7 hours, and I'll give you my final thoughts on these 2 formulas. So thanks, I'll see you in a bit, bye. Hi everyone, I am back for my final update. It's been about 6.5 hours since I put this eyeshadow on, and it looks great. I will probably wear this eyeshadow for 11 hours, maybe even 12 hours. So I will put a final update just in the description area to kind of tell you how it wears over that long of a period. But my kids are gonna be home from school in about 30 minutes. So I wanted to go ahead and get this update done. I want to start by talking about the mattes for both the 1 and the 4 palette. Because I didn't really notice a difference in the mattes. When I applied them, they were both very pigmented. They both blended pretty much identically between the 2. And I used 3 mattes from the 4 and then 3 mattes from the 1. And I really did not notice anything different between them. They were both beautiful on the lid. I would say maybe there is one difference that I noticed, and that is the 4 had a little bit more kick up when I was using it. So you might go through product a little bit faster in the 4, but none of that translated to the eye. So when I put it on my eye, that extra kick up did not translate into extra fallout. In fact, I had very, very minimal fallout between both of these. I would even go so far as to say I really didn't notice any fallout between both of them, which is pretty spectacular considering how soft these formulas are. Now the shimmers, that's where I noticed the difference between these 2 palettes. So the shimmer in the Lorac 4 was a little bit less pigmented, not a lot. I would say maybe like 15% less pigmented. So enough to notice, but not a tremendous amount. I would also say that the 4 sheared out a little bit on the lid. So like, let's compare Honey and Gold. So Gold was with the 1 and Honey was with the 4. With Gold, I dipped into the pan once, put it on my lid, and it was vibrant and beautiful. With the 4, I used, I think it was Honey, and I had to go into the pan about 3 times to reach the amount of pigment that I had with just 1 dip of the 1 in that Gold. So I will say that you may have to dip in a little bit more, and again, that may make you go through product a little bit faster with the 4. And then when I started blending, it did shear out a little bit as well. I wouldn't say you would blend it away. I didn't blend it away. It just got a little bit sheer when I blended. Whereas when I was blending the 1, I didn't notice any shearing out at all. So I did have to kind of go back and add more product after I had blended just to make sure I kept those colors vibrant. And then again with the shimmers, the formula is a little bit powdery, more powdery. I mean, they're powdery for both of these, but it's a little bit more powdery with the Lorac Pro 4 than it is with the 1, even with the shimmer. customers. And that means, again, you might go through product a little bit faster. So I did this demo as much for me as I did it for you because I was trying to decide whether I wanted to keep the 4. I just bought this at Ulta for $35 and I wasn't 100% sure how much I was going to like it because I had heard so many negative comments on Reddit, on YouTube. And so I wanted to try these colors out and kind of come to my own conclusion on whether this should go back or not. And I will just say that my final verdict is I want to keep this because it is a very usable palette. I think the colors are very wearable, very blendable, very buildable. Are they as good as the Lorac one? No. I mean, this palette is kind of a gold standard, but it's still a really good formula. I mean, this is a lot to live up to. Do we expect the 4 to be as good as this? Well, yeah, I mean, they're both Lorac, so there is kind of that expectation that the 4 will be the same formula and be as good as the 1, and it wasn't, and I'm sure that disappointed a lot of people. But for $35, my opinion is this is a great palette because it has so many colors to choose from. I could take this palette and do a dozen day looks, a dozen night looks. I could do playful looks. I could do sultry looks. I feel like I could do anything with this palette. So I think it really all boils down to, do you like this palette? Do you like the colors in this palette? If you like the colors in this palette, then I really think you will enjoy this. And I really think the formula is good enough that it's worth that $35. My opinion is it is not worth $59, but I don't really think many palettes are worth $59. That's on the way upper end of my budget, and I don't normally like to spend that. And I don't think I've ever actually spent that on a palette. But for $35, which you can get this at Ulta right now, I think that this is definitely worth it. And again, it really just boils down to go take a look at the colors, look at them online, go to Ulta or Sephora and swatch them and just see, are these colors that speak to you? Because these, I like cool tones. I like light tones. I mean, I like pretty much every color in here. And so I will get a ton of use out of this and I will love using it. And so for me, it was definitely worth it. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment and I will be happy to answer them. And I just want to thank you for being here with me today. I really appreciate that you give me your time. And I love doing these videos for you. I think they're so much fun. This whole YouTube thing is all new to me. I just started watching YouTube videos like literally just a few months ago. And I fell in love with just the beauty portion of YouTube. I love makeup. I love sharing makeup, and so that's really the whole reason that I'm here. And I hope that the content that I'm providing you is helpful, and if it's not, let me know the kind of things that you're looking for because I would be happy to provide whatever it is that you want. And again, I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is freezing here where I am, which is why I've got this jacket on now. It's like 9 degrees outside right now, but I hope you are warm wherever you are, and I just want to thank you for being here with me today. Have a great day. Bye.